The Detroit Lions offensive line is great. I mean, that's kind of, I could probably just end the video right there if I wanted to. Like, it's really good. It's really strong. And I kind of just, I mean, I feel like sometimes with these videos, what I like to do is almost create a narrative. Like, start off with the question and then answer it by the end of this video. But you know what? Sometimes it's fun to just say, this is a great unit, and I want to just talk about how great they are, because it really is kind of impressive. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do in today's video. Before we do, though, I just wanted to mention I have a movie channel. If that seems like something you're interested in, just search Jackson Kruger Movies. The link is in the description below also if you don't want to search. So, yeah, check that out if you're interested. But, yeah, let's just get into the Detroit Lions offensive line film. So first, let's start off with Taylor Decker, the left tackle for the Lions. Been there for a while. You see his PFF grades. Been pretty consistently a top 20 graded player since he's been there. I think a good play to show off what he can do will be this one, where the way this play is designed to work for the Lions is he's going up one-on-one against Chase Young. It's going to be a running play. So, okay, Chase Young, you know, a lot of discourse is made around Chase Young. I think he's a pretty good player, just not like the generational player that we thought he'd be. He's all right, you know, I think. But anyway, going to be a one-on-one block. You see that Taylor Decker first gets the hand placement he wants, which, you know, for offensive lineman, hand placement is always what matters most. You have to get the hand placement or nothing else matters. So you have that. And I watch him really just drive Chase Young out of the way. I mean, these are the types of plays he can, you know, make for you. He can completely move guys out of the way. So while I think he isn't maybe the biggest name on the offensive line, that's only because they happen to have one of the biggest offensive lineman names in football. Penei Sewell, where if you want to see his PFF grades, he was the highest graded tackle last year, the highest run blocking graded tackle, and still top 20 in pass blocking, and he's been top 25 every year he's been in the league. But this is a play that I think is really just impressive by him, where he's going to go more towards the inside, going to block an interior defensive lineman. So that alone is already kind of difficult, right? Having to move that quickly and get in position to make that work. But again, watch the hands and footwork combination working very well together, is in position to block 90, and then watch what he does. He knocks him towards the bottom of the screen and perfectly gets in position to where 90 cannot get over and make that play. I mean, that's just good stuff. Unfortunately, the rest of the play didn't work out for the Lions, but still, the athleticism that he needed to have to pull that off. I mean, again, this is high-level stuff. Like, this is not a block that, like, oh, he just made his block well. These are blocks that are incredibly difficult to make. So when your tackles are run blocking better than, like, pretty much anyone else's, like, interior guys, that's going to make things pretty good. But let's move on to the interior, and we can start off with the center, Frank Ragnow, probably their next biggest name on the offensive line. You know, it's either him or Decker are probably the second biggest name. I'm not exactly sure. But you see another guy who PFF said was the best at their respective position last year. Less centers in the league than tackles, but still very impressive. He was also the highest graded run blocking center. So, you know, him and Sewell, definitely PFF is big fans of those guys. Ragnow can do a lot of stuff like this, where the way this is going to work is it's going to be a double team block with the center and the right guard here. Ragnow will get off that block and go up to the next level to block that, 49ers player. And this is just what you do a lot of times if you're a center. It kind of logically makes sense, right? Because usually there isn't a defender lined up right on you, so it kind of makes sense to double team someone and then you be the guy to get up to the next level. So, when this begins, you see that Ragnow does, in fact, get up to that next level and is in position to make a block right here. So that alone, very difficult to do, but of course, it doesn't matter if you can't actually make the block, but I'm pretty sure you know how this is going to end. Ragnow does, in fact, make this block, so really good stuff there. And again, these are just the consistent things that he's doing for the Detroit Lions. Going over to Graham Glasgow, he is one of the guards for the Lions. You could make the argument he is their weak link, which is saying something given that, again, PFF said he was a top 10 player at his position last year. And again, that's all guards. That's not just left guards or right guards. That's all guards. So again, if that's your weak link, you're doing all right. Let's show a play like this, where what's going to happen is that for, again, it's the conference championship game. You see that he's going to be blocking an interior guy for the 49ers. When this begins, he actually had some help from Sewell. Sewell's going to get up to the next level, which is a thing the Lions do, right? They'll have their tackles get up to the next level sometimes, which, like, hey, If you have Sewell when you're running to the right, why not do that? But when Sewell gets off that block, Glasgow does a really good job, I would say, of still holding it off very well. I think the critique you could give to Glasgow is like, okay, sure, you had a career year when you were blocking next to Ragnow and Sewell, but even if you take out last year, he's still been a pretty consistently good guard for a really long time. I don't think that would be fair, and he complements those guys so nicely. So yeah, I think he's very good. And then you have Kevin Zeitler. He is the one new addition for the Lions, as they had to replace a guard. They went out and got Zeitler, who, 34 years old, but has been a really consistently good player for several teams now for quite some time. Most recently with the Ravens, where he was PFF's second highest graded guard when it came to pass blocking. And when you watch him pass block, it's incredible. It's really good. So worth mentioning, he also played right guard, so I'm not sure exactly who's going to play left guard next year. I've seen people say that on websites that I don't know how reputable they are, that Glasgow will be the guy to move to left guard. So maybe that's the case. I haven't seen it on like a source that I'm like, yep, that's true. But seems like that'll be the case. Either way, let's watch what Zeitler can do on this play. Where watch how when it begins, you see that, okay, so 52 for the Texans is trying to overpower Zeitler, but it's just not working. I mean, watch how this play ends. We're like, that just never was, he was never going to get there. I mean, Zeitler just completely held off that block. Like, that was just like a win through and through. So when you have that, things are going pretty well. If we're talking concerns with the Lions offensive line, I mean, one is just, every team's offensive line concerns, like injuries can happen. I actually think they're okay depth-wise, but again, when you have 5 really good starters, the drop-off is going to be somewhat significant. But the benefit is, if you're, sometimes we see it happen where there's a team that has like one hole in their offensive line, like the Bengals made, they've kind of always had one hole in their offensive line for the past like several years, and they're usually okay until but then if another guy gets hurt, then they struggle, and then it just kind of all falls apart. That was, in the playoff run that they had, they had a guard who was really struggling, but then if I remember correctly, they had someone else get injured, and that's when things really got damaging. So what I'm trying to say is, even if they have an injury for the Lions, you can kind of get by with having one guy being subpar. So having 5 great offensive linemen really helps with that. Also, we will have to see, someone moving positions, Kevin Zeitler playing for a new team. There's always those concerns, but man, are those minor concerns compared to what the positives are with this unit. It's a really good offensive line. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on the Lions offensive line. It's very good. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from ya. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.